Hello and welcome to this workshop titled Let's Write a Data Science Blog Post from Scratch. So I've listed out a few steps here that we should follow. And before we start writing a blog post, maybe let's talk just very briefly about why you should write a blog post. So writing blog posts is a great way of presenting your work online. Anything that you've done, any project that you've worked on, any assignment that you've completed, any exercise that you've completed anywhere, unless you put it up online publicly, there is no way for people to know whether you've actually done it. Anything that you write on your resume is unverifiable unless there is some public record of it, right? Because you can write anything in your resume and you can search hundreds of resumes online and pick up things. But what you can't replicate is original projects and original work. That is why you should write blog posts and put up your work online. Now, why blog posts? Why not maybe put your code into a GitHub repository and just put it up online? A couple of reasons. The blog post allows you to present it in a way that people can understand, because you have to write and you have to explain what you've done. Now, nobody is going to look at a code inside a GitHub repository, especially not potential employers, because they don't have the time. What a blog post allows is it gives you a chance to give a summary and get to the essence and tell them what you've done in the project. Okay, it's like a report or like a presentation of your project, except you're giving it to the entire world. Okay. Now, so that's the two benefits of putting up your work online and doing it via blog posts. Another important reason is to share your knowledge. Now, whatever you're learning, the more you share, the better your understanding gets. That is the wonderful thing about knowledge. And it has the other benefit of paying it back, because today you probably already know you're learning a lot from online material, whether it is YouTube videos, online courses, blog posts. So it's important that we give back so that somebody who's coming after you can learn, and you don't have to worry about there already being so many tutorials, because there is always something new that you're bringing to the table, which is your own learning experience and your unique project, right? So that's why you should share your knowledge. It's a very important thing. And in fact, you will find a lot of people reaching out to you and thanking you once you put this up online. Then the third thing is building an online portfolio. Now, building an online portfolio allows you to be found. When you put up blog posts, when you put up projects online, when you share them online, when you gain exposure, people will find you. So potential employers, for instance, startups, founders like me, keep looking online for interesting projects and people who have built them, reaching out to them if they're interested in doing a project or maybe joining full-time or doing an internship. So people will reach out to you. Recruiters, people who are hunting for good candidates, will find you through LinkedIn posts, through LinkedIn, through YouTube videos, through blog posts online, and reach out to you. The reason for doing that is because whenever you put up a job online, hundreds of people apply, and it's very hard to look through hundreds of resumes and find a good candidate. It's often a lot easier to just do a quick Google search, find some of the interesting blogs on a topic, and just reach out to the people who have written those blogs. Trust me, it's a great hack for getting people to reach out to you and offering you jobs. Okay, so those are the benefits of writing blog posts, and I cannot overstate it. I have personally worked with over a dozen people where we have figured out what blog posts should be written to target a specific kind of job, and eventually they have ended up getting into a job like that. Okay, so do focus on that. Whenever you're building a project, just set aside 30% of the time at the end for writing a blog post. So here's the process we will follow. First, we will select a topic for our blog post. Second, we will pick the right platform for writing our blog post, and there are a few. Next, we'll pick a good title, introduction, and outline for the blog post. These are very important to get the attention of the reader. Then we'll see how to write a blog post section by section. Then we will see how to embed code and outputs. So whatever outputs you've generated using your code, whatever graphs you've created, how to include them within a blog post. We will talk about proofreading and aesthetic improvements, and we will also see how to publish and promote a blog post online. And finally, we will talk about how to improve a blog post over time. Okay, so these are the 7 or 8 steps that you follow, and once you follow this, you can write a blog post on pretty much any topic of your choice. Okay, now how do you select a topic for your blog post? The first or the best kind of blog post is a project that you have worked on, something unique, something interesting. So if you have taken some large real world data set online, and you can find these on places like Kaggle datasets or Google datasets or the UCI machine learning repository. So there are many great sources of datasets online. And if you've done some analysis on it, or maybe you've built a machine learning model on it, maybe you have done some processing, or maybe some time series analysis, maybe some visualization, whatever you've done with the dataset, and then you have either a Jupyter notebook or you have a code base or a Python scripts which you can run, and you've put them up on GitHub. So something unique that you have created is a great topic to write a blog post on. Now you can also write a blog post on which is a tutorial about a library, framework, or topic. And these are also great blog posts, but typically you will find that dozens or hundreds of tutorials have already been written on most popular libraries. So this may not have as much of a reach as something more interesting. So great way to combine these two is to take the project that you worked on and write it like a tutorial, so that it is unique. On the other hand, second, it also teaches somebody something, and people can follow along and build their own project by using your project. Okay. And another kind of blog post is a summary of some recent research papers, or one or more papers, where you take a paper and break it down, maybe show how to code it. That's an interesting blog post. And another could be just a survey of some of the recent developments in a field like deep learning. Okay. So I would normally suggest doing a combination of the first two. And this brings us to the blog post that I will be working on today. So we recently worked on a web scraping project. This was one of the previous workshops that we have done on this very YouTube channel. So do check out our history, and we'll provide a link in the description. And as part of the web scraping project, we created some code to scrape popular topics on GitHub using Python. So here is what the code for this looks like. What you're looking at here is a Jupyter notebook. It is an interactive programming platform where you can write code, write explanations, plot graphs, and do everything. Everything in the browser. So this is a Jupyter notebook that we have, and this is Jupyter notebook is hosted on Jovian. So here you can see that we are first downloading a web page. So we have some steps where we are running some code, and we're downloading creating some variables, downloading a web page. Then we're looking at the output of the web page. Then we're looking at it, saving the file as an HTML file, looking at it, and then we do some parsing of the HTML. So here we are doing, again, we're using the Beautiful Soup library, and then we are parsing information from the page, and then we go on and then we extract information about topics, descriptions, and a bunch of other information, and then we finally compile all the extracted information into this table. So we start out by downloading this page, github.com/topics. That's the page we are working with here. So this is a list of topics on GitHub. GitHub is a platform for hosting software development projects. And what we have done is we have captured this, we have taken this page, we have scraped it, parsed it, and we have captured the information about the popular topics on GitHub. So you can see the 3D Ajax algorithm. These are the topics. This is the description of each topic. And then if you click on the topic, that is the URL of a topic. It will open up the web page for a specific topic. Okay, so this is what the process looks like, where we've taken this page and scraped it using requests and Beautiful Soup and created this pandas data frame. You can see here we have the topics, we have a description of each topic, and we have a URL. And then we have extracted and combined data from multiple pages as well. So we've done a whole bunch of things here. Now I think this is a good project. This is unique, and this works on a large real world data set. So it's using a live site, and it is pulling out information from a live site. So now let's see how to write a blog post for this. Okay. So before we write a blog post, now we've picked a topic. The second step is to pick the right platform for your blog post. So I just want to talk about 3 platforms for writing blog posts. The first one is medium.com. So Medium, you can see, is a platform where a lot of people write blog posts. For example, here, this is a blog post about getting a data science job with no prior experience. Okay, interesting. Then here you can see more. This is a blog post about Bitcoin. And many more. So you have many more blog posts on Medium, and I'm sure you've come across it. I would suggest that Medium is actually a great place to write your blog post because of a couple of reasons. One, it offers a great writing interface. Let me show you what that looks like. So here I'm logged in on Medium. So when I log into Medium, and you can click write here. So it offers a really nice writing interface. You can see you get a blank page and you can write here, and it supports a lot of different styles, as we will discover. And second, Medium has something called publications. So any blog post that you create on Medium, you can submit to publications. For example, one publication which is connected to the Medium network is the Towards Data Science publication. And this publication has quite a few followers. And you can submit your blog post to this publication, and that will get visibility. It will show up in the feeds of all the people who follow this publication. Similarly, you can also check out the Jovian official blog, which is also based on Medium. And the Jovian official blog also takes contributions. So you can take your blog post and submit it to the Jovian blog. And submitting blog posts becomes really easy on Medium. You don't have to rewrite anything. You can take your blog post and you can directly submit to a publication. Okay. So when you want to increase the visibility of your blog post, Medium is a great way to do that. Another common option is GitHub Pages. So you can check out GitHub Pages. GitHub Pages allows you to host your blogs on your own. So they are hosted directly from your GitHub repository. The advantage with GitHub Pages is that you control everything. You control the styling, you control the fonts, you control the posts, the order in which you want to set them. You can change anything about it. It's very customizable. Medium, not so customizable. And it is on your own domain. So it will be, you can set it up to work on your own domain, which you can do with Medium as well, but you have to pay. But with GitHub Pages, you don't need to pay. The disadvantage is that you need to do a lot of setup initially. And second, you do not get to be part of the distribution network that Medium provides. So you can use GitHub Pages if you wish, but my recommendation personally would be to go with Medium. Then there are a couple other options. So there is something called dev.to. Dev.to is also a great community of people. You can see here a lot of people are posting and sharing blog posts about software development. So dev.to is a good community. Apart from that, there are several other self-hosted options as well. So you can check them out too. Ghost is a great option. So Ghost is a great option, but you will have to set it up on your own server. So there are a bunch of additional steps involved there. Now, if you just want to take your project and share it online with people, just go to medium.com, sign in with Google and click Write Story and start writing. Okay. So I'm going to use Medium, but you have all these other options as well. Next, the next step is to pick a good title, introduction, and outline for your blog. So let's grab this project here. Fortunately, when I was working on this Jupyter notebook the last time, I was able to come up with a good title. So the title was Scraping Popular Topics on GitHub Using Python. So I guess I'll just use that title. A title should tell what happens in a blog in as few words as possible and invite the reader to check it out. So here we are saying that we are scraping popular topics on Python. Maybe we can even say web scraping popular topics on GitHub using Python. Now, what we've managed to put in here is a few keywords, web scraping. So when somebody searches online for web scraping, it's possible that your blog can show up. If somebody searches for Python web scraping, your blog will show up. If somebody says scraping GitHub, your blog will show up. So these are all different ways in which you're also helping your blog to be found by picking a good title. What would be a bad title? Let's say if we just said web scraping with Python, that would not be a good title because here you're not being specific. Is this a tutorial? Is this a project? On the other hand, when you say web scraping GitHub projects, web scraping popular topics on GitHub with Python, that becomes a lot more interesting. Okay. You can also add a subtitle on Medium. So I can say using requests beautiful soup and pandas. Okay, and you can give this a I think this can be made a subtitle. So Medium allows you to set a title and a subtitle for your post. So now it looks pretty good. The title is scraping popular topics and the subtitle is using requests beautiful soup and pandas. So that's the title. Then we need an introduction. So you just need to write a small introduction about the topic. So in the introduction, you want to introduce the players. So introduce web scraping. Let's call this web scraping. So introduce web scraping, what it is. Okay. Then you want to introduce GitHub and GitHub topics. Then you want to introduce the different libraries from Python that you're using. For example, requests, beautiful soup, and pandas. Okay, so just one line about each of these, and then introduce the project. So which is what you're going to do here. Okay, so this is what we need to put in the introduction. So I like to just create a list of to-dos here, something like this, and then start writing. In my case, I have actually written some of this in the Jupyter notebook itself. So I'm just going to use that here. So here I'm just going to say GitHub is a popular website for sharing open source projects and code repositories. For example, the TensorFlow repository contains the entire source code of the TensorFlow deep learning framework. Yeah. Okay. So this is a quick introduction. It doesn't have to be too detailed. You just provide a quick introduction of the topic or of GitHub. Then maybe let's introduce some of the other players here. Okay, let's talk about topics. So now we're saying that repositories in GitHub can be tagged using topics. For example, TensorFlow repository has the topics Python, machine learning, deep learning, etc. Okay, that looks fine. Next, we can so here now we can talk about web scraping. So the page github.com/topics provides a list of the topics on top topics on GitHub in this project. So let's call this in this blog post or in this post or even article, all of these words mean the same. We will retrieve information from this page using web scraping and then introduce web scraping. This is the process of extracting information from a website in an automated fashion using code. And we'll use Python libraries, requests, and beautiful soup to scrape data from this page. Okay. And that's it. So we have now introduced GitHub. We have introduced topics on GitHub, which is the topic of the project. We have introduced web scraping, and we've just said that we'll use the Python libraries, requests, and beautiful soup. We don't have to get into details about everything, but I think this is a good enough introduction. Okay, so that's our introduction. What was next? The next was the outline and the narrative. So before you start writing your blog post and showing people the code, you want to include an outline. And the simplest way to do that is just mention it as a series of steps. So here is a step-by-step outline of this project. Okay. And you just put in the numbers and start putting in the outline. So what are we going to do? Well, let's look here. So the first thing we're going to do is download a web page using requests. So I'm just going to put that here. Next, parse the HTML source code using beautiful soup. So first step is to download the web page. The second step is to parse the HTML source code. Let's say download the GitHub topics web page using parse the HTML source code using beautiful soup. Then we will need to extract information. So we will need to extract topic names, descriptions, and URLs from the page. And then I think we will finally then combine compile the data and create a CSV file. Okay, so let's say compile the data and create a CSV file using pandas. All right, so that's a step-by-step process. And if there is an extension, you can continue building that also. But I am going to limit my blog post to just this much. Let's fix this. Okay. Now, one thing I want to mention about the outline is that you should try and structure it like a narrative. So what you should have here is a story, something that somebody who reads the outline can easily recall later. That is how your blog post will leave an impact. So you do not want to have disconnected sections which don't fit in with each other. Here it's quite nice that you can close your eyes and you can try to recall. We're trying to download a web page from GitHub, the topics page. Then we are going to parse that web page using the beautiful Soup library. Then we're going to extract information like the topic title, description, and URL. And finally, we are going to compile the data and create a CSV file using pandas. Okay, that's the outline of the project, and it should have that story-like structure. Now, once you're done with this, you have made your job really easy, because now instead of having to think about writing the entire blog post, you can just write the post section by section. So each section will have a starting, middle, and end. And at the start of each section, you will explain what you're going to do in the section. In the middle of the section is doing what you've just explained you will do. And the end of the section is simply summarizing what you've done. Okay. And you do that for the first section, the second section, third section, and so on. Where do you get the sections from? The sections come from your outline. So here is the first section. Download the GitHub topics webpage using requests. So let's put that in here. Oops. Let me just type that out. Yeah, download the GitHub topics webpage using requests. Okay, and I'm going to convert this to a title. The way to do that is to just select it and make it a title. So use titles carefully. Each section should be a large title, and then if you have subsections inside it, you can make them small titles. But do use titles. Don't write a post without any titles. We were able to scroll through this Jupyter notebook very easily because we had all these titles everywhere. So the same thing you should have here as well. Okay. Let's create the different sections here. Parse the HTML source code using beautiful Soup. Let me just get this from here. Extract topic names, descriptions, and URLs from the page. Okay. And compile the data and create a CSV file. Okay. Let's make that big, and let's make that big as well. All right. So now we are closer to having a completed blog post. We now have sections for a blog post. Now remember, for each section, we want to do a starting, middle, and end. So starting, we explain what we're going to do. So what are we going to do? Well, first we're going to use the requests library to download the page github.com/topics. Okay, so let's just clean that up, or let's maybe write the middle. So middle, how are we going to do it? So what is the actual implementation of this going to look like? So first we are going to install the request library. Okay, again, if you want to learn about what we are doing in this project, do watch the workshop Let's Build a Web Scraping Project from Scratch. But here I'm just going to go over it quickly. So we are going to install the request library. Then let's see what we do here. What is the actual work that we're doing in this? Yeah, we go install the request library, we import it, we import it, then we take the topics URL, and then we get the response, and we check the status code, and then we look at the page. Okay, maybe we don't need to include all of this in a blog post. A blog post is mostly just telling the story, so we can skip some of the content. So here's what I'm going to include. Install the request library. import it, download a URL, look at some data from it, yeah, and write it to a file. Okay, then we have an end. At the end we simply want to say what we did in the library. So we just say used the requests, well, we just say that we've downloaded the HTML file. Okay, that's all. So that's the start, middle, and end of this section. Now let's clean it up. So to begin, we'll use the requests Python library to download the web page. All right, that's it. That's our starting, just one line, simple enough. At this point, if you wish, you can include a link to the request library. It's always good to include links. I think this is the one, pythonrequest.org. Yeah, this is the request library. So let's maybe just include a link here. And one other nice thing about Medium is that it is going to turn links into these nice boxes. Okay, so now let's come to the middle. We've done with the starting. And let's say let's install and import requests. So on Medium, you can show things as code using the quotation marks. I guess it goes something like this. Yeah. If you use the back quote, you can show something as code. Okay, so now at this point, we need to show some lines of code. Now Medium does provide a way of showing code. If you type the quotation 3 times, quote, 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 the third quote will now convert this into a code cell. And you can now type something like this here, pip install requests. But this is not very nice because there is no syntax highlighting here. Okay, so here's what I will suggest. What you should do is you should embed code from a Jupyter notebook, and you can also do this in many other ways. But if your Jupyter notebook is on Jovian, and how to get your Jupyter notebook to Jovian? Well, one way is you can create your Jupyter notebook on Jovian. If you go to jovian.ai and you sign up, then you can create a blank notebook and work on it online on Jovian itself. The Jovian platform provides you free online compute to build data science projects. But you can, if you have a Jupyter notebook on your computer, you can upload it using the upload notebook option and upload it to your account. But once you have it on your account, then you can take specific cells from your Jupyter notebook and you can embed them inside your blog posts. So if you come to a cell, for example, I want to embed this piece of code which tells us how to install requests, the request library. I'm going to click embed cell here. And here I have 2 options to embed. It says I can either embed using some HTML code. So this is an iframe, or I can embed using a link. And it turns out that this link works fine on Medium. So I'm just going to copy this link and I am going to come back here and I'm going to just paste this link here. And that is going to embed for me this line of code. Now, this just based on how embeds work on Medium, sometimes for longer cells, the embed may still look very short and you may not be able to actually click inside. This may look like an image, but that's just how Medium shows you a preview. Once it is published, it is going to show up just fine. Okay. And I'm going to just show you an example of, and maybe I'll show you later how that looks like. I'm going to show you an example later, but this is what you need to do. Put up your Jupyter notebook on Jovian, then go to a cell, click embed cell, and then you can copy this link and use it on Medium. On other platforms, you may, like if you're using GitHub Pages, you may want to use this iframe. That could be a way to do it as well. And you can embed not just one cell, but you can also embed a range of cells. In fact, if you look at our text here, it says let's install and import requests. So how about we get both of these cells together? So I'm just going to click embed cell here, and I'm going to say embed range of cells 6 to 8. And here's an embed preview. This shows us, okay, this is going to take 6, 7, and 8. I'm just going to need 6 and 7. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and I am going to paste it here. So now we've said let's install and import requests, and we have now pasted the code to do that. Okay, what next? Well, the next step was to download the URL and look at some data from it. So we can use requests.get. So I'm just going to describe what is being done next. Okay, I'm just going to describe that we are going to use request.get on this topics URL to get some response, etc., etc. Okay, so we can use request.get to download a web page. So let's get an embed here as well. So let's get the topics URL and let's get this response. So I'm just going to click embed cell, click a range of cells. I'm going to go 11 to 12 and I'm going to copy this and paste it in here. Okay, now one other thing that I forgot to mention was that you may want to just include the link to your code right at the beginning so that somebody who wants to see the entire code can find it easily. So you can say you can find the entire, you can find the source code. Well, let's even say you can view and execute, because as long as they're hosting it on Jovian, they will also be able to click run and run it. So you can view and execute the code for this tutorial here. Okay, and you can share a link to the code on Jovian. So this is how people can find your code. Of course, if it's hosted on GitHub, you can share the GitHub link. Wherever your code is hosted, you want to make sure that you are sharing a link. Okay, so now we have step 2. We have gotten the web page and then we get a response. And we can just say that the response object contains the result of the request, the status code, and other information. Okay, so we can access the result. We can access the contents of the web page using response.text. And I'm just going to get some of the contents of the web page in here. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the contents of the web page. So I'm just going to get page content as response.text. Let's copy that. And I'm going to get one more cell here. I'm going to get page content 500. So this is going to show what the web page looks like. So the web page consists of HTML. Yeah, so page content response.text. The web page contains HTML code. And I'm just going to paste that here. Okay, so this is the process you want to follow. Some explanation, some code, some explanation, some code. Okay, and here you can see that we have not just the input, but we also have the output from the web page. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I think we don't need to do more. We're probably also showing here that this is like you can save this HTML code to HTML file and then you can view the page. I think I'm going to skip that for the blog post and I'm going to move on to the next section. But yeah, but at this point we can just say that, so we've successfully downloaded the web page using request. Okay, and this section is done, pretty much done. So let's just get rid of all this. And now we can move on to the next section. Okay, and this is the process that you want to repeat for each section, where you have some explanation, you have some code, you have some explanation, have some code. Sometimes you may want to talk a little bit about the code that was mentioned earlier. So sometimes, let's say if you're creating a function, just talk about why you created the function or what you're doing inside the function, etc. Maybe let's do one more section very quickly, and then the rest we will probably skip, and we can do it later, maybe if we have time at the end, so that we can move on to talking about some of the other steps, steps 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so now let's get this one. So it seems like this is what we're going to do here. So parse the HTML. So the start is basically mentioned here. So use Beautiful Soup to parse the HTML source code and create a helper function that we can reuse. Middle, so you install and import, parse the response, parse the web page text, and verify that it was parsed properly. And finally, we will create a helper function. And then you have the end. So at the end, by the end of the second section, we will create a helper function, and this is what the function looks like. Get page, which can take a URL, and it can download the URL using requests, and it can return a Beautiful Soup object, which can be used to get information get information out from the page. Okay, so you just repeat at the very end that we can now use the above function to get information from the page. Okay, that's the start, middle, and end, and we can clean that up pretty easily. And once we've done that, we will then go on to the next topic and the next section and the next section. So we have 4 sections. So maybe let's do this section, and then we'll skip section 3 and 4. Let's clean this up. So let's see. We'll use the Beautiful Soup Python library to parse the HTML source code of the web page downloaded in the previous section. Okay, and we will also create a helper function which can, or you know what, let's skip this. We will just include it at the very end, just to avoid being too repetitive. But let's go and let's find the link to Beautiful Soup. And here is Beautiful Soup. So let's get that. Let's put that in here. Middle. Okay. So let's install and import the Beautiful Soup library. Once again, now we need to grab some information. So here is the information that we're going to grab. So we say copy cell link, we say embed cell, and let's get the range of cells. So install and import is what we're saying. Let's get 26 to 27, and let's copy that. Let's put that in here. Okay, so we can use the Beautiful Soup class to parse an HTML document. And let me grab the next thing as well. So here is the information, doc Beautiful Soup response.text. So here what we're doing is we're taking the text from the previous response, the text that we just showed here, and then we are parsing it using the HTML parser. So I'm just going to embed this cell too. Okay, looks good. Now, once parsed, we can use doc to extract information from the web page. Okay, so let's just show an example of that. So here we are saying doc.find title and doc.find img. So I'm going to just get both of these cells. So I'm going to say range 30 to 31, copy that, paste that in here. So it's a very easy process once you set it up like this, section by section. In fact, it almost becomes boring. Now here you can see that you can't see the second output. That's just because Medium just shows a fixed size of the embed preview, but when you publish this blog post, it will show up properly, so you needn't worry about it. So now we can say that as can be seen above, we were able to retrieve the title and the first image from the web page. Okay. And now let's create a helper function. What's this called? Let's create a helper function get page. And let me just grab the link while we're here. So let's create a helper function get page, which can download a web page and return a beautiful soup doc. Let's call that a reusable helper function. That can download a web page and create a beautiful soup doc for any given URL. Okay, and if the embed doesn't work, just remember to click enter and that will do the embed for you. Yeah, once again you can see that this seems like it is shortened, but actually the whole thing will show up. It's just a preview. That's why you have this issue. All right, and yeah, and then we can include some examples here. (30 to 34, 33 to 34). Okay. So we can just say we can now use, and that will be the end. So we can now use the get page function to download and parse any web page. And it's nice to create functions because it shows good coding practice. So you're also encouraging good coding practices through your blog. And that is something that you want to illustrate, that you are a good programmer. So do not cut corners or take shortcuts with your blog, because people are going to judge you based on it. So make sure that you do a good job of it. Wherever you can show good coding practices, show that. Wherever you can show good commenting or good function names, variable naming, do that. Okay, then we have a couple more topics. We have extract topic names, descriptions, and URLs from the page. Okay, there seems to be a bunch of code to do this. So you have get topic titles, and okay, now this is a good opportunity for us to learn about subsections. So now we've already put in that we've said extract topic names, descriptions, and URLs. So that's a good title. So we can use the let's just put a start here. So get data out of the doc using helper functions, and compile and collect all the information into lists. Okay, that's a start. Middle, what are we going to do? First get so first we are going to get topic names, then we are going to get topic descriptions, then we're going to get URLs. So, okay, so we are going to extract one by one. If we go back here, github.com/topics, we will extract one by one. First, all the topic names, which is 3D, Ajax, algorithm, etc. Next, we will extract all the descriptions. Next, we will extract all the links. So if you see below, the link which is there associated with this topic, for example, github.com/topics/3D. So we're going to extract that. Okay. And for each one, we have a function. So like here, we have this function get topic titles. So here's what we should do. Whenever we have this natural subsection structure, we should start creating those subsections. So let's say, first, let us call this subsection topic names, or you could even say extracting topic names. And let's select that, make that a subsection. Let's put the code here. And of course, we would want some, in each subsection, you basically just want some explanation, some code and some explanation. And of course you can have multiple code cells as well. Then you have extracting topic descriptions. That's your subsection. Extracting topic page URLs. That's your subsection. And let's just put that each piece of code here just so that it looks nice. And let's leave some to-dos here. And let's get the topic page URLs as well. So here we have, where are the topic page URLs? Oh yeah, this is the topic page URL. Yeah, there we go. That's the topic page URL. And now by the end, we have lists of topic names, topic descriptions, and topic page URLs. So we're just summarizing what we did in the section. Okay, looks great. Then next, compile the data and create a CSV file. So what are we going to do here? Well, here we are going to create a dictionary of lists. Well, this is summary, right? So we're going to create a pandas data frame and write it to a file. Write it to a CSV file. Okay, that is sort of the summary of what we'll do, or the brief description. Middle is first install. So first is to create a dictionary, then install and import pandas, then create a data frame, or create and view a data frame, then save to CSV file, then view the CSV file. Okay, and then the end, we've saved the data to a CSV file. All right, that's basically the end of it. So by the end, we will have created this data frame. Maybe let me just grab that and put that in here. I'm just going to click copy and I'm going to embed the cell here. This would be maybe the last or the second to last code cell. And by the end, we will just have saved the data to a CSV file. And that would be the end of the project in at least in terms of the implementation. But then there is more to do. Okay, so I will leave it as an exercise for you to fill out these sections, which is the extract topic names and descriptions. Here you have 3 subsections to fill out. You can go through this code. What we'll do is we will share this link with you. Let me share that right now. So yeah, you have this link here. And I will also share the link to this Medium blog post, the draft link. In fact, let me share this right now as well. So if I take this draft link and share it with you, you should be able to access this draft link. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, that's the wrong link. Okay, let's just copy this. Yeah, so you should be able to access this draft link. Let me see if I can show you here. So I'm going to log in with a different account here just to show you what the draft will look like. So when you open the draft link, you will see what the final published blog post will look like. So you can see that it has a nice bold title. It has a nice subtitle. It has my name below it. And of course, if you hover over it, you can find some information about it, about me. Here is the description that we had, the introduction at the beginning. Here is the page that we were talking about. All the things are linked properly. Here is the step-by-step outline. Here is the link to the tutorial. Here we are saying, okay, this is how we are going to begin. This is the section 1. This is the link to request that we had posted in. Well, you can see now the code is showing up properly as we expected. And in fact, you can see very clearly that we are now able to select the code. We can even copy the code here. So that's nice. Then we have, so we have this, and then if we go down, okay, now we have a link to Beautiful Soup. Some of these sections can need more explanation. In fact, all of these you can add a little more explanation just to make it a little fuller and just make it a little clearer to somebody who's not too familiar with this. Here you can see the entire function was included, and maybe if I go down, I can show you at the very end, this entire data frame is shown here. Okay, so this is one of the nice things about embedding from Jovian, that you see not just the code, which is also easy to copy using a single button, but you can also see the entire output of your code, right? Which is not possible to directly put into Medium in any other way. So do use this. It's a pretty powerful feature. A lot of people have used it in their blog posts. But we're not done with the blog post yet. There is one important step involved, which is proofreading, aesthetic improvements, and finally finishing the blog post. So the first thing you should do before you even do proofreading and aesthetic improvements is to create a summary, reference, and future work section. So what you want to do is, let's return here to the draft that we're editing. And you want to include a summary. Then you want to include a section called future work. And then you want to include a section called references. And let's make these all sections. Let's make this section as well. Let's make this. Okay, so here's what you say in summary. Here's a brief summary of the step-by-step process we followed for extracting for scraping topics from GitHub. And you can pretty much just take your outline and write it in past tense. So let's come here and let's just put the outline in past tense. But of course, it would be nice to, and why should you put it again? What is the purpose of doing this, of repeating the same content? See, the idea is somebody who is reading through your project is not familiar with the topic. So although you may have spent weeks working on it, so everything is very obvious to you, somebody who is reading for the first time may not grasp everything that you are explaining while they're going through the post. It helps when you repeat things every now and then to reinforce what you've done. Like if they're going through a section and they're not entirely sure what happened in the section, just by reading the end where you've summarized what you've done in the section, which you've also done at the beginning, but again, just by reading that again at the end, they know that what the outcome of the section is. So even if they need to come back and revise the section again, they at least know what the outcome is, and then they can move forward. In the same way, when they reach the end of your blog post, having a summary once again reinforces what you've done into their mind, that this is what has been done here, right? Even though they're reading pretty much the same thing stated differently. And even if they have not grasped some of the very subtle details, they may still be able to, in their mind, recall what you've done in the blog post. And that's very important. You want to make it memorable, because then they will remember your blog post and they'll come back and read it. They may even, like if it is a potential employer, as they go through different profiles and different evaluate several candidates, this is something that may stay in their mind, where they might think, hey, I still remember that nice blog post I saw. Maybe that person is the right person who I should talk to. Okay, so that's why you want to make it memorable, and that is the whole reason we have a story. That is the whole reason we have the structure. That is the whole reason everything we're doing is to make it something that people can remember and recall easily. Okay, so you say we downloaded the GitHub topics webpage, and we can even link it here. Using the request library, you can link this as well. Wherever you have an opportunity, it's always a good idea to link things. We parse the HTML source code using Beautiful Soup. And you can even link this. Then you say we extracted topic names, descriptions, and URLs from the page as Python lists. And then we compiled the data and created a CSV. We compiled the data, well, created a pandas data frame and saved it to a CSV file. So one difference between the outline and the summary is that you can start using some more technical terms. In the summary, you can start being a little more detailed, because in the outline, the reader is not yet familiar with what you're going to do. So you do not want to intimidate with anything that may seem too technical. But in the summary, at least the assumption is they have seen those terms a few times. So now you can feel free to include links, include more technical details, include longer descriptions. Okay. And that's a summary for you. Then you want to talk about future work. So you want to tell that, you want to basically indicate to the reader that you have done this project, because every project needs to have a set amount of time that you can give it. You don't have all the time in the world, but you have a lot of other ideas about what can be done. Okay. So here are some ways in which this project can be extended. So you should talk about different ways of extending your project. So here once, well, we have parsed only one page. However, there are many pages. So, well, let's just say we have parsed only one page. The code can be reused to parse all the pages to get the topics, from A to Z. Right now, I think we have topics only from A to C, if I'm not wrong. So the first page, if I have to go back into the topics page, you can see that the first page only has up to C. And then if you go if you include question mark page equals 2 in the URL, that is going to show you the second page of topics. You can see it starts from C. So here you can even mention that this is the second page. Okay, then we have, what else? Well, you could say that we can scrape each topic page for top repositories. So here, if we go back here and we say, let's see, let's take a topic page. Let's take one of these pages, github.com/topic/android. So we can take our scraping to the next level and we can extract information. So here we can say that we can extract from this Android page the top repositories in the page. Okay. And then you can describe something else you can do, like you can maybe extract collections instead of topics, maybe something else. So you want to give the reader, you've given them a short tutorial and a short introduction to the topic and to the data set and what you've done. You can give the reader some ideas to build upon. And these are also ideas that you yourself can work on later. Okay, so you're kind of signaling to whoever is reading this that these are ideas that you're thinking about, but maybe you just don't have the time to work on right now. And so on. One other thing you can include, so this is extensions of your work. Other things you can include is how this can be applied to other topics. So how this approach can be applied to other topics. Again, you can include the things that maybe, let's say, apply this to GitLab, a similar website, but maybe slightly different structure, and come up with more ideas there. Then you list your references, very important. Wherever you are using something, let's say whatever you found useful, maybe you found some tutorials useful, maybe you've used some libraries, maybe you found some Stack Overflow answers useful, whatever you found useful, And wherever people can learn more about these things, you can include those references. So for example, this was done using this workshop on Jovian. So I may just want to go to the Jovian YouTube channel, go back to videos, and here we have, let's build a Python web scraping project from scratch. So here's one we can include. So that if somebody was not quite clear about how this was done, they can refer to that. We should obviously include the libraries that we have pointed to. So we should say Beautiful Soup, requests. If there are any tutorials you use, like if let's say this is built as a part of the Zero to Data Science bootcamp, then you can include the link to that as well if you wish. So let's say you have some Stack Overflow answers that you found useful, you can do that. So I'm not sure, maybe yeah, so maybe this was a useful answer. How to retrieve links from a web page using Beautiful Soup. And that's it. Okay, so include summary, future work, references. Step 1. Step 2 is to just clean it up. So do some proofreading by, you can use these apps like Grammarly and Hemingway. Now Medium does not support Grammarly directly, so what you'll have to do is you'll have to create a new document. So you'll have to create a new document, and wherever you want, let's see, let me just log in here. And let's create a new document. Okay, I will have to figure that out. Grammarly is a great tool for, it's beyond a spell checker, so it's a pretty good tool for improving your writing. So for example, you could create a new Grammarly document and you can just copy paste some of the stuff into Grammarly like we've done here, and then you can set your goals or whatever, how you want it to look. Yeah, and you can see it is giving you suggestions, like maybe we can remove a brief because it's already, we're already saying it's a summary. It's saying we should add commas here and there. It's saying we should add the page. It's saying we should add and. So just use a spell checker. It just looks a bit unprofessional if you have typos, which unfortunately I have typos in my writing all the time. So it's always a good idea if you have the time to just spend another 10-15 minutes and clean up all of your writing. So we can then drop this back here. Okay. So that's one. Another thing you can use is the Hemingway app. Grammarly is paid, or at least they have a free version, but they also have a paid subscription for some of the more advanced stuff. You can also use this thing called the Hemingway app to improve your writing. So here it highlights lengthy and complex sentences. So wherever you have lengthy or complex sentences, it tells you to shorten it. If it sees something that is going to be very difficult to read, then it is going to tell you. And it also tells you where you can use simpler words or improve the writing. So ideally you want to shoot for a grade 5, grade 6 writing level, not higher than that. Should be very simple to read, whatever you write. Let's take an example. Maybe let's take this and let's see what Hemingway says. Yeah. So here it says, for example, the TensorFlow repository contains the entire source code of the TensorFlow deep learning framework. So it says one of 4 sentences is very hard to read. Okay. I don't know what will fix it. You can play around with it, but this looks like this fixed it. Then GitHub repositories on GitHub can be tagged using topics. passive voice makes it a little difficult to understand. So you can just say you can tag repositories on GitHub using topics and such. Okay, it says aim for 9. Unfortunately, there are a few technical terms here which would make it difficult. But yeah, in general, you want to aim for like 5, 6, grade 5 or grade 6 reading level. Okay. So that's that. The next step is to add images and screenshots. This is something that we have not done yet, but this is very important. You want to include a good image because when you share your link, that link will have a preview wherever you share it, whether you share it on, let's say, WhatsApp, Telegram, Slack, Twitter, LinkedIn. The link will have a preview, and if you don't put in an interesting image, then it will not have a preview that looks good, so fewer people will check it out. Just having an image in the preview and in your having an image in your preview is going to enhance the appeal of your blog post and is going to lead to a lot more clicks, a lot more people reading your blog post. So one way to add an image is using this search option on Medium. This is also another nice thing about Medium. I'm just going to search for the HTML here, and it looks like this looks nice. So maybe I'll pick one of these. This looks good. This looks good. Or I could even just pick something related to GitHub. Yeah, I guess this looks good too. So let's see, maybe let's pick that. I like to make a nice bold image here at the very top. So this is like a banner image. And then in between, you also want to include images of other things that are relevant. So for example, here we are saying this page github.com/topics. This would be a nice place to include maybe a screenshot of the page. I think I had a screenshot here somewhere. Yeah, this is the page. This is a screenshot. So let's just copy this image and let's paste it here. Okay, that's not happening. Let me save image to my desktop and I'm going to upload it here. Yep, there you go. Okay, so this is, and you can mention this is the GitHub topics page. Oops. Then you download it using requests and then you show this. Okay, I don't see any opportunity for an image here. Maybe where we can see an image, we will see an opportunity for images later on where we are extracting things like titles. So this is where we are extracting this topic title. There is an opportunity for including an image here. It could be something like this, where we take this and we click inspect, and then we show that this title is actually a part of, yeah, so we show that this title is actually available here. So here you are just showing how to find the title on the page. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of this region right here. Okay, and I'm going to include it in the topic title. So let's see. Yeah, so I'm just going to include it here on extracting topic names. I'm going to include this image saying that this is how you can find the topic name. Yeah, and you can select different sizes, but I'm just going to use this set size here. Okay, so that's how you include images, and try and include at least one image or screenshot in every section, just to give a visual idea of what is happening in that section. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not possible, but it's still worth trying, just checking. And with that, once you've done some proofreading, once you've done some aesthetic improvements, and once you've done some finishing by adding images, putting it through Grammarly in Hemingway, and adding summary references and future work, your blog is pretty much done. Of course, it's not done until people are actually reading it. So the next thing you should do is you should publish a blog post. Now I can hit publish here and that will go on my profile, but there are not a lot of people on my profile. So what I should do is, at least on Medium, you should try and submit that to a publication. So you can click add to publication. And there are a bunch of these publications that I am a part of. All of these, like Artificial Intelligence Becoming Human, Data Science Network, HackerNoon, Jovian, the startup. And you can pick any publication of your choice. We would love to host your blogs on our publication, which is also happens to be the official Jovian blog. So blog.jovian.ai is powered by Medium, and here are some of the projects that people have built. You can see this project by Himani called Scraping Data Using Beautiful Soup in Python. So we just completed, as part of our bootcamp, the Zero to Data Science Bootcamp, we just completed web scraping as a topic, and the first project is what everybody built, and this is what you're looking at examples of. Here's another example project somebody submitted, Hargurjeet, exploratory data analysis of Zomato restaurant data. And you can see there's a very nice image here, which is telling you what you might see. And one of the nice things here is this image also looks a bit like a pie chart. So that's nice. It connects with the topic of data analysis. Maybe let's go through this here. Yeah, and you can see here there's an introduction. There is okay, this is talking a little bit about the data set. Here is an index of content, so that's very nice. Here's a nice index. And whenever you see a nice blog post, always give that a like. I like to give that a applause. I like to give like 20-30 applauses when I find a nice blog post. And you can see, okay, you can see code. You can see code here. You can see code for importing the data set. You can see some code, some explanations, some code, more explanations, more code, some graphs. Okay, looking good. So there's a graph here. Here is another graph. And you can keep going and keep reading about this. So maybe I'll share this with you. This is a good example. So it's really just the approach that we have covered here. And there was a question about how do you include a graph within a post? Well, you don't include it within the post, but what you do is you include it within a Jupyter notebook. Let me find a graph for you. Yeah, so include it within a Jupyter notebook. So here I have this data visualization cheat sheet. This is a Jupyter notebook. Here you can see that there is this line chart. And suppose I want to put this line chart in my post. I am going to click embed cell, and I am going to then select, I just want to show the output, just the line chart. This is what it looks like. And I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come back here into my post, and I'm going to include it as an embed here. And you can see now, once it loads up the embed, you will be able to see the graph here. Okay, if you check out the draft link that I've shared with you, here, where do we have the draft link? Yeah. If you check out the draft link that I've shared with you again, you will see that it now contains the graph. Somewhere here. Yeah, it's going to take maybe a minute or two to load up, because you can see here now it contains the graph here. Okay, so this is how you include graphs that you've created using Python code. All right. So that is how you submit to a popular publication. If you submit to Jovian, I just want to tell you a little bit about the contribution process. The first time you will have to write to us. So if you go to blog.jovian.ai, let me close some of this other stuff here. If you go to blog.jovian.ai, you will see a contribute link here, and you can read the contribute link to understand how you can contribute to the Jovian blog. Yeah, there you go. Mostly what you want to do is follow the process that we've just described, this 5-step process. If you've followed everything till step Step 6, then you satisfy the criteria. And the first time you want to contribute, you just write an email to community@jovian.ai. Here, you just write an email to community@jovian.ml or jovian.ai, and we will review your blog post and get back to you within 24 hours. Okay, the first time you want to contribute, you will not see this option. So what you want to do is you want to take your draft link. You will not see the option add to publication. You will not see Jovian in add to publication because you're not part of the team yet. So you will need to take your draft link. So share your draft link and send it to us at community@jovian.ai or jovian.ml, and we will review your blog and we will respond within 24 hours. We will add you as an writer to the Jovian Medium publication. Once we add you to as a writer, then you will be able to see this option add to publication. And then you click add to publication, go back to your post, click add to publication, select Jovian, and then you click select and continue. And once it is sent to us, we will review it. We may suggest some minor changes. And here, once you submit, you will also have the option to select a story preview. You can see that the banner image that we selected is showing up here. You can see that the title and the description shows up here. You may want to add some tags. So I'm just going to add Python, and I'm going to add web scraping. Let's see. Okay, that's not a very popular, but still, I'm going to add GitHub. Okay, and you can add up to 5 tags, and then you click submit to publication. And this way, the story will get submitted to publication and it will show up to us. We will review it and we will publish it. And when we publish it, it goes out to everybody who's following the Jovian publication. It also goes out. We also put it up on our Twitter, on our LinkedIn, on our forum, and sometimes in our newsletter as well. So we are going to send this out to thousands of people, especially if it's a great project. So you can potentially get a lot of exposure just by contributing to a blog like Jovian. Okay. One other thing you should do is you should take your work once it is published, once it is live. So once it is published, you will see that it's no longer showing up as a draft. It is going to show up as a public blog post. But once it is public, you should take the link, the public link, and share it on social media, LinkedIn and Twitter. Let's take an example. For example, if this is the published link, then you go on Twitter, and on Twitter you can post it. So just say, actually there's a share button here to directly post it to Twitter, but it's always nice to include a more personal message. Yeah, so you can see here, this is the title of the post, contribute to the Jovian.ml publication, but this, whatever is the title of the post, that will show up here. Let me see, let's grab one of the latest blog posts. Yeah, scraping data using Beautiful Soup in Python. Once that loads up, let's share it on Twitter. And let's just tweet that out. Okay, so this way you share it on Twitter, you share it on LinkedIn. One good way to get noticed is include proper hashtags. So you want to I should have probably included the hashtag data science. I should have included the hashtag web scraping. I should have included the hashtag Python. And then there are a lot of bots on Twitter which are observing these hashtags and then they retweet those hashtags. So that is how this spreads. A lot of people even search by hashtags or follow hashtags. So a lot of people follow hashtags on Twitter, so it will show up in their feed. And you will realize, and you can see statistics about the posts that you are running. So you can actually go on your post and there is a way for you to check statistics on Medium. You will realize that hundreds of people are reading your blog post simply because you've put it on Medium and you've submitted it to a publication, and then you've shared it with proper hashtags. The same is true for LinkedIn as well. Some of those people reading the blog post will be potential employers. Some of those will be potential recruiters, and they will look at those blog posts. They will see your project and they'll think, this seems quite similar to the kind of work that we want to do. Maybe I should reach out to this person and see if they're open to taking up an internship or a job role with us, right? So all the time that you would otherwise be spending applying to hundreds of places, writing cover letters, or waiting for months to hear back, going through interviews, all of that can be short circuited if you write some really good blog posts. Because one, people may find you, and second, you, even if you come across somebody interesting on LinkedIn who works at a company that you want to join, you can take your blog post link and you can say, hey, I've worked on projects like this and I'm really interested in working at your company. Can you refer me to a job role there, right? And you can do that and people will be happy to do that. Everybody is more than happy to refer somebody who shows great skill, right? But you want to show it, and the best way to show it is through a blog post. Another thing you should do is go on communities. For example, you can go on the Jovian forum. Now the Jovian forum is just one place to do this, but there are several other communities. So you can go on the Jovian forum and you can share your work. You can see here, there's a share your work section. And you come here on the share your work section, and let me just log in. On the share your work section, you can post. So you can say, I think OpenDraft is going to post here, or you can also, yeah, you can see here somebody just posted their blog about a day ago. You can also go on Reddit. Machine learning is a good place. So you can post on, well, maybe web scraping doesn't make sense for machine learning, but you could, let's say, do data science. You could post on data science. You could post on learn data science. And you can see there are 485,000 people here. And of course, the key thing here is you should post to communities that you contribute to. And what you can derive from that is you should be active in communities if you want them to look at what you're posting. So you should not just come and post once, but you should also be active and checking out what other people are posting, giving people feedback, giving people kudos for the work that they're doing. And then every now and then, maybe 1/10 or 2 in 5 of your posts can be about work that you are doing, right? So that is how you you leverage a community. You give and you give and take, right? So it's not just that you post and you get a benefit out of a community. And there are many other Slack groups, Discord groups. If there is a college group you have, share in a college group and try and get as much visibility for your post as possible. And finally, keep improving your blog post over time. A blog post isn't done and dusted. You will get many comments. You will get a lot of feedback. A lot of people may point out issues or errors or may ask questions about how something works. It's very easy to go back and edit a blog post. You just go to a blog post that you have that you have published before and click edit story, and you can edit it on Medium. Definitely correct errors when they come up, because errors will hurt your credibility. It may have the negative effect where somebody goes through a blog post and sees some very obvious errors and they're just going to assume that you don't know this topic, even though it may have been just overlooked. So you may want to just keep correcting errors, and wherever explanations are unclear, and you can realize this by reading it yourself carefully a few times, or just by sharing it with your friends and getting feedback from them, you can improve your explanations as well. And finally, you can continue extending the blog post. So this future work section is not just for other people, this is also for you. So at the end, if you feel like there is more work that you can do here with this blog post, then maybe go ahead and implement it. And in fact, the notebook that I have used here, this contains some other implementations as well. So you can see below, this says here below that we are extracting and combining data from multiple pages. So we actually have done some of the future work. And this is where you have to decide, depending on the amount of time you have, how much do you want to do in your project and how much do you want to show in your blog. Sometimes you may want to stop short in your project itself so that you have time to write a blog, because that's, in some sense, it's more important than just doing the project. Doing project plus blog is far more impactful. Sometimes you may do additional work in the project, but your blog may only be about a certain portion because you don't want a blog to become too long or it's taking too long to write. And it's perfectly okay to do that. You may also want to write follow-up blogs. So let's say your project is quite large. You can split it into 2 or 3 parts. Now, the good thing about follow-up blogs is that will also help you grow a following, where at the end of the blog, you can say that I'm going to release the next blog post in a couple of weeks from now, and please follow me, so that it shows up on your feed. And that's how you can build up a following on Medium as well. Okay, so that is roughly what the process looks like. Now let's do a quick summary of what we did. Well, first we selected a topic for our blog post. So the topic was web scraping with Python of GitHub topics. Then we picked the right platform. The platform in this case was Medium. It has many advantages: a nice writing interface, an easy way to submit to publications, an easy way to get a lot of visibility, the ability to embed code cells there. Then you pick a good title, introduction and outline. The title, introduction, outline is the first thing people see. If I go on medium.com, this is what your blog post will look like. You can see here 5 signs of a highly intelligent person, or 7 things people who are good with money never buy. So the image, the title, and the first few lines, the introduction, this is what shows up on Medium, or the subtitle, whatever it is, right? So keep that in mind. Include a good title, subtitle, and a good image. Then you want to have an introduction and outline introducing the blog. Then you write the blog post section by section. What do you do in each section? In each section you have a starting, a middle, and an end. And those sections themselves are created from the step-by-step outline which you have included above, right? So each step of the outline becomes a section. And the start of each section explains what you're going to do. The middle, you do what you've explained. And the end, you summarize what you've done. That makes it very easy to work through sections. And you want to embed code and outputs in a blog post as well. So you create a notebook on Jovian, embed the cell within Medium, and then you can customize whether you want to show the input, output, or a range of cells and such. Then you include a summary, reference, and future work. You run it through Grammarly and Hemingway, and then you add images and screenshots and finish up the blog post. Then you publish the blog post, or you submit it to a popular publication. You share it on social media, on your LinkedIn and on your Twitter, and you use proper hashtags to make sure it gets discovered. And you also leverage the communities that you're a part of to help spread the word. And if you've written a useful blog post, most people will thank you and be very encouraging. Don't be afraid to put it out. You have to put your work out. So don't be afraid of criticism. Some people may criticize, but just ignore them or take the criticism constructively. Look at it this way. Even if somebody criticizes something you've done, it means you now know what to improve, which you would not have known if you had not put it out there. So that's why always publish anything you've done. Then continue improving your blog post over time. Reply to comments and feedback, correct errors, improve explanations, and extend the blog post or write follow-up posts. Okay, so that's how you write a data science blog post from scratch. You can take this video recording will be available, so you can keep this recording open while you're working on the next blog post and follow the steps, and let us know in the comments if this has been helpful for you. And let's take some questions now. Okay, there are some questions about the bootcamp. So let me just address them very quickly. Let's see. So the Zero to Data Science Bootcamp, another reminder, we are kicking off this bootcamp on the 1st of June. And this is a 20-week program over the course of 20 weeks. And this is a part-time program, so you can do it while learning or studying full-time. Over the course of 20 weeks, you will complete 7 courses on data science. You will complete 12 weekly assignments and build 4 real-world projects. For each of those 4 real-world projects, you will write blog posts, and then you will publish them online in the manner that we have just discussed. And you will get 6 months of career support to help you find a job in the form of resume guidance, in the form of LinkedIn writing, in the form of cleaning up and publishing your projects online, and in the form of mock interviews. And we're quite confident that this program will help you find your first role. So we are offering a money back guarantee if you do not find a job after completing this program within 6 months. Okay, let's take some questions now. Do you have to pay for a Medium account? No, you do not have to pay for a Medium account. A Medium account is free to create. Some posts on Medium are paid, but you would want to keep your posts free. You would not want to keep your Medium post paid, because that limits the reach. The maximum you're going to earn from a post that you create on Medium is maybe $5 or $10. But that's not worth giving up the reach of thousands of people. One other thing about Medium is that Medium posts which are public and free also get indexed by Google. So if somebody's searching anything related to web scraping, your blog post is likely to show up on Google, and that's how they can find you as well. Can you publish to only one publication in Medium? Yes, you can. One blog post can only go to one publication in Medium, but you can publish to multiple publications if you have multiple posts. Any limitations or challenges in creating content on Medium compared to other platforms? As such, no, and that's why I would recommend it. Any tips on increasing your content reach to make your content go viral? Well, I can't say about viral, but the general tips are include a nice image which is relevant and eye-catching. Make the title interesting, something that draws in, something that creates a bit of curiosity. Just write a nice blog post, because that makes it more likely for people to share it. So go out of your way to be helpful to the reader. Don't assume anything about the reader. The less you assume that they know, the more people will be able to understand your blog post. So whenever you're using a library or introducing a topic, just have a small introduction explaining what it does. Even with code, if you've written a function, you can just explain what the function does in a couple of sentences. And that will make it very easy for the reader to understand, appreciate, and ultimately share what you've made. Will we get the link of the Medium blog or the code link? Yes, so we have shared that, and we will also share it in the description. So the draft that we've created, we will share it, and I will probably clean up the draft and share it with you later. Do we need permission to publish in publications? Yes. So what you need to do is find the publication that you want to submit to. Like if you want to publish on blog.jovian.ai, go to blog.jovian.ai and click contribute and find the instructions there. Once we add you as a writer, you will be able to submit stories whenever you create them, and we can review them and publish them. Okay, there's a question about the data analysis with Python 0 to Pandas, the course. Yes, the course is still open. The free course 0 to Pandas, you can go to 0topandas.com, and if you complete all the assignments and build a course project, then you will get a certificate of accomplishment. And of course, this is an introductory course, 0 to Pandas. If you want a more detailed understanding of data science and want to build multiple projects, then do join the 0 to Data Science Bootcamp. Next question, is this live? Yes, this was live. So we were writing the blog post live, and you can check out the project as well. The web scraping project, I have shared the link here. Okay, there are a lot of thanks. So thank you for joining, and you're welcome. How do we select a unique topic for our blog? Well, I would say pick something that you're passionate about. That way you will remain interested in it throughout. So think about what you like. Like if you like anime, maybe build a project on an anime dataset. If you like food, maybe build, like somebody did a Zomato data analysis, so you can do that. If you like sports, maybe create something there. One good thing you can do for inspiration is just go to a publication, like go to blog.jovian.ai and scroll through some of these. In fact, we have listed some of the featured projects here. So scroll through some of the featured projects, check out what they're doing, and use that as a source of inspiration. So use that as a source of inspiration for your blog posts. In a lot of cases, you can build a project and write a blog post on the same topic that somebody else has done. But what you should do is just give it your own twist, and go about it independently. So you look at the topic, you look at the introduction, maybe you also see the outline, but don't look at the code, and just try to build it yourself. And when you try to build it yourself, you will find that you are bringing a lot of unique things to the project based on the things that you understand, based on your style of coding, based on your interests. Maybe you may analyze different aspects of a data set than somebody else has. How to get discovered by blogging. So as I've said, here's what you should do. Submit it to a popular publication, and to submit it to a popular publication, you want to make sure that you have followed all these steps 1 through 6. Then share it on social media, LinkedIn and Twitter, and be consistent. So if you share one post, you can't expect to suddenly get tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views. You want to do it continuously. So for example, in my case, let's see. So I have been blogging on and off for the past several years. Whenever I find some time, I try and put together a blog. Let's see, maybe my oldest blog would be around 2016 or 2017, right? So it will happen over time. And in a lot of cases, what I've found is that I've put out some blogs, and about 6 months later, suddenly somebody tweeted it out, or it showed up in some collection, or it started getting a lot of hits from Google and started getting a lot of views. Yeah, so you can see here, there are blogs going back all the way to 2017. Right. So just write it. Don't write for likes, for sure. Do everything that it takes to make sure that it can be discovered most easily, but primarily focus on writing good blogs. And in some sense, just writing a good blog is an end in itself, because it helps you clarify your thoughts, it helps you improve your understanding, it helps you present what you have done and consolidate and sort of put some finishing touches to your project, right? So just write it for the sake of writing, for yourself and for sharing with your friends, sharing with potential employers, especially because you want to put this on your resume. The purpose is not to become a popular blogger. The purpose is to create a public portfolio of your work, so that people know that you have the skills that you claim to have, right? If we have a data set which cannot be online, I want to implement this in a completely offline environment. Okay, if this is a question about Jovian, then you can take your Jupyter notebooks, which you are running on your computer, and do your analysis on your computer. And then you can take the Jupyter notebook and you can upload it to Jovian without the data set, so that just the Jupyter notebook, its code and outputs are present, the rest of it not. And that way you can still keep the data set private, but you can make the analysis public. Okay, so to check it out, I would just suggest going to jovian.ai and just check out the docs here. So from the docs, you can see how to upload your Jupyter notebooks. In fact, I can tell you, if you click new and you click the upload button, you can upload it directly as well. But if you're running Jupyter locally, there is this from Jupyter option, which gives you a bunch of commands that you can run to upload your notebooks to Jovian. There's a question about profiles. So Jovian is also a great place to build a data science profile. If you put up your Jupyter notebooks and data science projects on Jovian, then your Jovian profile will show all of these, and you can fill out a bunch of other information as well. Maybe let me show you my real profile. Yeah, so you can fill out information about yourself. You can fill out a bunch of links about you. You can write a bio about yourself. You can show some featured projects. So these are some featured projects on my profile. These are my best data science projects. You can create some collections on your profile. You can show any certificates that you've earned on Jovian. You can show them here. We are also adding support for certificates from other places, so that you can showcase all of your certificates together here. You can include your recent activity here. This is included by default. Any activity that you do on Jovian, you can see I've been quite active in the past year. And in fact, there's a live activity feed that is showing up here as well. Okay, so use the Jovian platform. Use the community, the Jovian community, be active there. Check out our YouTube channel as well. We have a lot of interesting videos, workshops, tutorials, AMAs for you here. Check out our Medium blog post as well, blog.jovian.ai. We would love to get a submission from you. And in fact, if you tweet to us, just tag at JovianML or tag us on LinkedIn. We will be happy to reshare your projects. We are actually sharing projects every day. And I want to announce that we are running a weekly swag pack giveaway. So you can learn more about this at jovian.ai/forum. If you go to jovian.ai/forum, you will find here, so you will find here a weekly swag pack giveaway. I think it's on latest from Jovian. A weekly giveaway, win a Jovian swag pack. So if you've created some great notebooks or if you've created some great blog posts, share them on this forum thread or just tweet at us with your project. And we are picking 3 notebooks every week. And actually, we've decided, because we got so many great submissions, we are going to pick more than 3. We're probably going to pick 10 or 12 notebooks every week and give away Jovian swag packs. So we have hundreds of swag packs we want to give away in the next few weeks. So all you have to do is work on a project, improve your skills, and we have courses to help you improve your skills as well. Publish your project online and then come and post it here. So you can win swag packs for learning. We have a nice sweet t-shirt and a bunch of stickers, I believe. I think you can see some of them on our Twitter. If you check out our Twitter feed or follow us on Twitter, you can see some of the swag packs that people have received. And you can see we're also sharing projects from Jovian users. Here's the one. Here's one. This is a t-shirt and some stickers. There you go. All right. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoyed this workshop on how to write a data science blog post from scratch. You should also check out some of the other workshops on our YouTube channel, and definitely subscribe, and do share this video as well with whoever might find it interesting or find it helpful in their data science journey. And we'll be back next week with another workshop. So do stay tuned. We'll announce workshops on Twitter as well. So do follow us on Twitter or subscribe to us on YouTube to stay up to date. And if you're looking to build a career in data science, then do check out the Zero to Data Science Bootcamp by Jovian. Again, we're starting on the 1st of June and we have a limited number of seats, just 100 seats. So do sign up right now to reserve your seat. Okay. So thank you and goodbye. We'll see you next week.